After my son pushed me down the stairs shouting, "Roll to your death, you useless old woman." I lay there at the bottom, the world spinning and my heart slamming against my ribs. Pain radiated through my body, but it was the sharpness of his words that cut deeper. I felt shattered, more than just bruised. Jake, my sweet boy who used to grin with glee when I tucked him in, had turned on me, the very person who sacrificed every moment for him. For 17 years, I poured my life into raising Jake. Every late shift as a nurse at the hospital, every penny pinched to give him the best opportunities for his future, it was all for him. I believed in our dreams, the way we were going to rise above our struggles, the American dream echoing in the crisp Ohio air. But at that moment, chaos lived in our home. It surged through the walls, pulling us apart like silent vines growing wide and thorny. As the dust settled around me, I couldn't deny what was happening. Tensions were thick, like heavy fog shrouding my heart. Jake, once eager to share his hopes and dreams, was drifting into a world of quick success. Friends who promised him fame and fortune whispered ideas in shadows while I toiled in the light, hoping my labor would secure us a better life. I longed to inspire him, to show him the value of hard work and patience. But he saw failure at every turn, convinced my way was a road to nowhere. In my haze of pain, the truth struck me: what I perceived as aspiration, Jake perceived as chains dragging him down. The distance grew, filled with a bitterness that tasted foul on my tongue. That night was the breaking point, a culmination of unsaid words and built-up resentments. My chest tightened as I wiped tears from my cheeks, struggling to comprehend how love could twist into such rage. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As I lay crumpled on the floor, the hum of the neighborhood around me faded into a ghostly echo. Thoughts raced through my mind like a slideshow of our lives together. I could now see the moments we let slip through our fingers, the laughter during movie nights, the whispered dreams at bedtime, the mornings filled with the smell of pancakes. They flickered just out of reach, like the first rays of dawn hiding behind storm clouds. But now, in the depth of my bruises, I realized that it couldn't end this way. Yes, Jake's anger and my fears had become tangled vines choking what remained of our bond, but perhaps this was a turning point. Pain could catalyze change, and the ghost of hope lingered just beyond my reach. I had to stand up, not just from the floor but from the darkness surrounding us, and I couldn't do it alone. My heart tightened, pondering the vast yet fragile potential for healing. Could we reshape our future together? Could love navigate through this tempest? I sensed a flicker of determination battling against despair, a chance for Jake and me to rewrite our story. But was it too late? The sharp pain in my back reminded me that I was real, standing at the brink of my own despair. I pushed myself up slowly, feeling the grit and the rough edge of reality beneath me. The world around me started to focus again, light filtering through the window as if offering a promise. Tears streamed down my face, yet in that moment, I realized anger wasn't going to solve anything. It couldn't fix what had happened. Rage would only build walls, and I could no longer afford to let them rise. With every ounce of strength, I willed myself to rise, not merely to my feet, but to a resolve that had been buried beneath years of struggle. I took a deep breath and moved towards the living room where Jake last stood. I found him slumped on the couch, his face hidden behind messy hair, his hands clenching a phone that lit his features with a pale blue glow. His very essence seemed consumed by that device, isolated from reality. I could almost taste his bitterness, his disappointment, and it churned in my stomach like a storm. "Jake," I called, trying to keep my voice steady, yet a tremor slipped through. He didn't respond. I felt the emptiness swell, every unanswered word growing heavy in the silence. But I wouldn't be defeated by his silence. "Can we talk?" He glanced at me, eyes narrowing with uncertainty. There was a flicker. Was it fear, or was it something else? I took a step closer, cautious as if approaching a wild animal that might bite. What's there to say? His voice dripped with resentment, each word a struggle. You don't understand anything. I want to understand, I said softly, my heart pounding like a drum. Please, tell me what's going on in your head. This isn't just about the fall. I can see you're hurting. For a brief second, his walls cracked. The anger flickered like an extinguishing flame, and in its place, I saw a glimpse of my sweet boy. But just like that, it vanished, replaced by defiance. You just don't get it. I need to break free, he said, eyes flashing with desperation. You hold me back. Jake, I only want to help you. I've sacrificed everything for you, not to chain you, but to give you wings. My voice trembled with the weight of truth. Look at our past. I worked hard so you could have a future. I thought you wanted the same. He bristled at my words, pulling deeper into the couch as if he could escape me. With every passing second, I felt more helpless, every heartbeat echoing my fear of losing him forever. The realization washed over me. Our past wasn't a chain, it was the very foundation of who we could still be. I needed to reach him, not through anger or blame, but by laying bare my heart. This isn't about me clinging to you, Jake. There is so much potential in us, I pleaded, voice cracking. I don't want to lose you to the shadows. Can we talk about how to forge a new path, together? His eyes darted away, conflicted. Then, unexpectedly, he let out a ragged breath, a small gesture that hinted at the walls around him weakening. The door wasn't completely shut. Hope glimmered faintly in the air between us, fragile yet insistent. It could be a turning point, but the tension remained thick enough to slice through. Can we talk now? Or is it too late? I asked, feeling the weight of both fear and hope in my chest. Jake's expression hardened again, but as he opened his mouth to respond, footsteps echoed behind me. The sound interrupted the charged air, and I turned to see my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, standing at the doorway, her face painted with concern. Is everything okay? She asked, glancing between us, sensing the heaviness of the moment. I looked back at Jake, the question hanging between us like a lifeline. Was this a chance to begin a dialogue, or was it too late for either of us to reach out? The air crackled with possibility, but uncertainty loomed just out of reach. Could our fragile hope survive the new storm brewing just outside our door? Stayed frozen for a heartbeat, caught between shock and the realization of Mrs. Henderson standing there, witnessing our raw moment. The air felt heavy, thick with tension and unspoken words. Jake stared at her, his eyes wide, guilt flashing briefly across his features. Mrs. Henderson took a step forward, her brow furrowing deeper. I didn't mean to interrupt, she started hesitantly, clearly sensing the storm brewing. I just wanted to check on you both. I heard a commotion. I felt Jake's tension spike. We're fine. He snapped, his tone more defensive than intended. But the words hung in the air, a blatant lie that none of us could ignore. Mrs. Henderson, undeterred, replied gently, it doesn't sound fine. Sometimes it helps to talk things over with someone outside the situation. You don't have to carry everything on your own. Her words were like a splash of cold water, breaking through the heat of Jake's anger and my rising frustration. Could it be that we needed more than just ourselves to fix this? A stranger, even? I shared a glance with Jake, the flicker of doubt in his eyes mirroring my own thoughts. Maybe we do need to talk, I admitted softly, still not fully trusting my voice but giving shape to the thought that had taken root. I turned back to Mrs. Henderson, whose expression was earnest and compassionate. I don't want to drag you into our mess, I continued, but she waved a hand dismissively. I'm already here, dear. Sometimes, witnessing a piece of a problem can help shed light on it. I raised 3 kids myself, I know it isn't easy. Jake shifted, eyes shifting back to his phone, but I could see the tension in his shoulders ease just a fraction. Perhaps Mrs. Henderson's presence was the unexpected catalyst we needed. With every minute that passed, the heaviness in my chest seemed just a bit lighter, a glimmer of hope inching back in. Mom, Jake said slowly, hesitating. What if he took a breath? What if I don't want this life anymore? What if what you think is right for me doesn't fit me at all? His words sliced deep, unveiling everything beneath his tough exterior. I stepped closer, feeling the warmth of the moment tinged with fear, but knowing I had to carefully tread. I want you to find yourself, Jake, I said, my voice steady, despite the storm swirling inside. But that doesn't mean we can't figure it out together. It's okay to feel lost, it's okay to want change. Tears threatened my resolve again, but I couldn't let them fall. This was a defining moment, a chance for both of us to bridge the chasm that had opened between us. Mrs. Henderson nodded, her presence solid and protective. Finding yourself doesn't have to look for on the outside. Sometimes, it's about looking deeper what's tugging at your heart. What truly makes you happy? Silence surrounded us, and in that silence, I hoped Jake could feel the muffled fragments of fear lifting. The doorway to conversation felt so close, yet it trembled with frailty. Can we at least try? I asked quietly, feeling the flutter of hope inside me. To understand where you want to go? To make things right between us? Jake seemed to ponder, his brow furrowing with uncertainty. But somewhere inside, I could sense the walls beginning to graze against the ground, even if just slightly. I don't know, Mom, he muttered, and though the uncertainty was still there, it felt like a beginning, not an ending. Suddenly, the weight of Mrs. Henderson's presence felt liberating rather than intrusive. Maybe we weren't alone in this after all. As she opened her mouth to encourage him further, the door creaked behind her, and in walked my younger daughter, Lily, bright-eyed and completely oblivious to the gravity of the atmosphere. "What's happening?" she chirped, her innocent presence both grounding and jarring. Looking at her beaming face, I couldn't help but feel another wave of hope wash over me. This could be the key to healing. "Would you like to join us, Lily?" I asked, gut telling me that maybe, just maybe, her cheerful energy could somehow weave itself into the fabric of our turmoil. Jake's gaze flicked toward her, and for the first time in a while, I saw a flicker of a smile form on his lips. Hopefully, it was the start of something beautiful, but just as the moment seemed to thaw, the weight of the storm outside rattled the window, and I realized that the fight for our family hen ended. It was merely beginning. Would we be able to face the tempests ahead, or would each challenge push us further apart? Felt a rush of adrenaline course through me, mingling with shock and betrayal. The pain in my back wasn't the worst of it, it was the sheer weight of his words that crushed my heart. I lay there, the world tilting sideways, wondering how we had fallen so far. As I attempted to regain my footing, I struggled to process what had just happened. Was this really Jake, my son? Each breath felt like a reminder of the distance that had grown between us. Clenching my fists, I pushed myself up, the floor cold against my palm. I needed to confront this, to dig deeper into the mess that was unraveling us, but the fear of actually facing him, of what might come next, paralyzed me. Lily knelt beside me, her little hands gingerly lifting my arm. "Mom, are you okay?" Her voice, soft and innocent, cracked through the chaos and brought a wave of warmth back into my chest. She had been untouched by the storm brewing in our home until now. "I'm fine, sweetie," I managed, though I could hear the tremor in my own voice, but I was far from fine. My mind raced back to the countless conversations, the endless nights I had spent worrying about Jake. I felt a mix of fear and dread. This wasn't just a moment of teenage angst, it felt like a culmination of all the struggles we had failed to address. "Jake," I called, the urgency in my voice sharpening as I steadied myself. "We need to talk." There was silence, thick and heavy, just before a hesitant shuffle from the hallway broke through. He appeared, his face a kaleidoscope of emotions. There was anger, yes, but also confusion and guilt. I could see it wrestling within him, battling against the facade of indifference he often wore. My heart ached at the sight. "Mom, I didn't mean," his voice faltered. "I don't even know why I said that." "Because you're hurting," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady while my heart raced. "We both are, and it's okay to feel lost." But pushing me away won't help. His lips pressed together as if tasting the bitterness of the truth. I stepped closer, trying to close the rift opening between us, even if it felt monumental. Can we face this together?" You don't have to hide from me. Jake glanced at Lily, who peeked up at him with wide, trusting eyes. They shared a moment that I recognized. It was a silent plea. It was the innocence she still carried, a reminder that despite the turmoil, there was still love in our little family. I'm so tired, Mom, he finally confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. The walls he had built began to crack, exposing the vulnerability underneath. Tired of pretending I'm someone I'm not, tired of disappointing you. In that instant, my heart swelled. It's okay to be tired, Jake. You're not disappointing me. I just want you to be true to yourself, to figure out who that is. He looked down, grappling with my words. I could see he was clinging to fragments of hope, the same hope I felt. Then Lily dove in. Can you and Mom be best friends again? Like when you used to make cookies together? There was a thrilling innocence in her suggestion, igniting something bright in the darkness. Jake exhaled sharply, a short laugh escaping his lips. Maybe if we had cookies, huh? In that moment, laughter rippled between us, a fragile truce among the tension. But beneath the hope, a lingering cloud hung over our heads. The darkness wasn't gone, it was merely hiding, waiting for another moment to re-emerge. Still standing on shaky ground, I took a deep breath, determining to not let fear suffocate the small steps forward we had just taken. But doubts loomed in my mind. Would this be enough? Just as I contemplated how to navigate the storm ahead, another loud crash from the living room sent shivers down my spine. What now? As I felt the dread creep back in, I apprehensively exchanged glances with Jake. Could we truly face whatever came next together? Rushed into the living room, my heart pounding in rhythm with the chaos of the moment. The air felt electric, thick with tension and fear. Every instinct told me to turn back, to shield myself from whatever awaited. But I couldn't. Not anymore. Jake followed closely behind, his face twisted with a mix of regret and confusion as we stepped into the tumult. The sight before me stole my breath. The furniture lay tossed about like leaves in a storm, the remnants of our lives fracturing under the strain of our unresolved anger. Mom, Jake began, but his voice faltered as he took in the mess. I felt his turmoil echoing in the stillness. He was torn between wanting to fix things and being afraid he might only make them worse. I took a deep breath, willing my feet to move. I didn't want to hide or cower. Jake, we need to talk about this together. My voice was steadier than I felt, but I could sense the anxiety gnawing at my insides. Lily stood wide-eyed, clutching her favorite teddy bear to her chest. Her innocence felt like a fragile bubble in the middle of our storm. What happened? She asked, glancing between us, unaware of the dark tide threatening to break over our family. Just some things got a little out of hand, I answered gently, kneeling down to meet her gaze. But we'll fix it. I promise. Looking at her made me remember that childhood doesn't last forever, and I refused to let it be overshadowed by our problems. Why did you fight? She pushed, her young voice filled with concern. The question cut through the mother's instinct to protect, exposing the raw truth we'd both been trying to ignore. Yes, I opened my mouth to respond, a deep rumble of feelings crashed into me. I realized that at this moment, Lily wasn't just a bystander, she was our anchor. Sweetheart, sometimes being a family means facing hard things, and it gets messy, I tried to explain, though I felt like I was scraping the barrel of my own understanding. Jake shifted uncomfortably, his eyes finally meeting mine. I don't know what to do anymore, Mom. The trembling in his voice was a lifeline for us, we were both lost but willing to find our way back. I think we start by talking, I suggested, my heart aching for my son. No more hiding, okay? Let us face this together for Lily's sake and for us. He looked at his sister, her wide eyes reflecting a fragile trust. I didn't want to hurt you, Mom. I don't know how I lost control. The truth is, we've all lost something, I admitted, feeling the lump in my throat throb. But it's never too late to find it again. I stepped closer to him. Can you tell me what you're really feeling? Jake hesitated, the weight of emotion swirling within him. I hate feeling like this. I thought if I pushed you away, it would hurt less. He paused, I searching for clarity. I wanted to show you I'm not weak. I reached out, grabbing his shoulder gently. You're still here. That's what matters. No one is weak for feeling lost. His gaze fell to the floor, and I watched the gears shift in his mind. Then I heard him whisper, I just wanted to be someone you could be proud of. Tears pricked at my eyes. Jake, I'm proud of you just as you are. All I want is for you to be yourself even when it's difficult. In that moment, I felt a flicker of hope ignite between us, a spark that could potentially light the way through the storm we faced. Just as I thought we might be finding our way, another crash resounded from the back of the house, shaking the walls. What now? Jake whispered, his brows knitting together. I felt the dread settle in my chest again, but I knew we had to confront whatever was lurking in the shadows. Could we handle what lay ahead? With my heart racing, I glanced at Jake and Lily, preparing for what we might face next. But as I took a steadying breath, I couldn't shake the feeling that another storm was brewing, one that could threaten to undo the fragile steps we had just made. What could possibly come next that would challenge us even further? Wasted no time in rushing towards the source of the sound. My heart pounded with each echoing step. The disarray in the living room paled in comparison to what could be waiting for us. My instinct screamed at me to protect my children, to shield Lily from whatever chaos lay ahead. Stay close to me, I whispered, gripping Lily's hand tightly as we moved together through the hallway. Jake followed, his determination cloaked in uncertainty. We approached the kitchen, where shadows danced between the cabinets in the dim light. As I peered around the corner, the sight stopped me in my tracks. A heartbreakingly familiar figure was hunched over on the floor, surrounded by shattered glass. The shards glimmered like stars in a night sky, but the scene felt anything but magical. Mom had been here, her sentient presence mixing with the chaos. Mom! I gasped, nerves skyrocketing. I rushed in before I could think twice. Despite the anger that had bubbled over just hours before, a primal urge to heal surged within me. I dropped to her side, carefully avoiding the mess. Are you okay? What happened? She turned to look at me, a mixture of fear and regret etched into her lined face. They just got out of control, she said, her voice small, almost too timid for the destruction surrounding us. I had seen her fight against her demons, and each battle left her more weary than the last. Jake stepped in beside me, his face paling as he assessed the damage. I'm sorry, Mom. We didn't mean for it to get this far, he said, the rawness of his guilt pouring from his voice. She reached a tentative hand toward him. I know, honey. This house has too much history between us, between all of us. Each word settled like lead in my stomach. History. It wasn't just in our walls, it was in our hearts, lingering frustratingly in every room we inhabited. But we can fix this. We can clean up, I urged, though my own confidence was flickering like a candle in the wind. Can we? She asked, her gaze shifting uncertainly. I felt the weight of her doubt, the creeping anxiety that loomed over us all like a shadow. The thought of cleaning the kitchen, of sifting through the mess both in our home and our hearts, overwhelmed me. Just then, Lily tugged on my hand, her voice small but resolute. We can be brave together. Brave, I echoed, the word igniting something new in my heart. Perhaps bravery wasn't the absence of fear, but the will to face it. Jake met my gaze, and for the first time, I saw a glimmer of understanding. What if we started fresh? What if we clear this stuff out and make space for something better? Like a family play area? Lily chimed in, her eyes brightening despite the chaos. Exactly, I said, a warmth blooming in my chest at her innocent suggestion. Let us make this a happy space, a place we all love. In that moment, the tension in the room eased just enough for me to see a path forward. We started to move together, gathering pieces of the past while forging our way toward a shared future. As the debris began to rise and fall in our hands, something larger began to shift within us, to a promise to face challenges united rather than divided. But just when the heaviness in my heart began to lift, I noticed a flicker of light from the corner of my eye. I turned to see an unfamiliar figure standing in the doorway, arms crossed, watching our efforts with a predatory interest. Looks like I arrived just in time for a family reunion, the voice purred. A chill crept down my spine, and I realized that this encounter was just the start. What did they want from us? I exchanged a look with Jake and Lily, each of us bracing for what could be the most intense test of our new commitment to each other. What would unfold in the moments to come, and could we withstand a third storm? Pulled myself up, gasping for breath, instinct kicking in like a freight train. The pain ricocheted through my body, sharp and unforgiving. I couldn't lose focus now. I had to defend my family. What had just happened? How had we spiraled so far? Jake! I shouted, my voice breaking through the haze of shock, but he shifted his weight, eyes darting in that doorway, caught between guilt and anger. The stranger smiled, an unsettling grin that made me shiver, twisting the air thick with apprehension. You should really consider keeping better control of your family, they taunted, accentuating the word family like it was a bitter pill to swallow. Who are you? I demanded, forcing my strength into my voice. I rose slowly, using the kitchen counter for support, my heart pounded, adrenaline surging through me like a wildfire. Just a friend, the figure answered, stepping into the light, revealing a pair of cold, calculating eyes. Or maybe a mirror reflecting what you don't want to see. Enough! Jake interrupted, stepping in front of me, unaware of how dangerously this confrontation could escalate. You don't belong here. This is our home. I squeezed Lily's hand harder, feeling the fragile hope we had built begin to slip with each word exchanged. I was suddenly aware of the shattered glass beneath my feet, a remnant of both our history and the moment we had tried to reclaim our space together. Such a touching display, the stranger mockingly said, their tone heavy with sarcasm. But the truth is, homes aren't built on wishes, they're forged in suffering. What do you want? I gestured, desperate for a tangible answer amidst the chaos. Your family needs a reality check, they declared, stepping closer, their presence almost suffocating. The bonds you think you're mending? They're just fraying at the edges. You can't clean up broken glass without cutting your hands. Jake inhaled deeply, a mixture of bravery and fear etched across his face. Shut up. You know nothing about us. Do I? The figure shot back, tilting their head. You think you can fight your past? It's already consumed you. The air thickened, and a familiar pang of helplessness clawed at my insides. But I couldn't let it in. Not again. We'll make it work. We're trying, I insisted, fighting back tears, my voice thick with resolve. Trying? They laughed, the sound bitter. You all are simply deluding yourselves. Pain knows how to linger, and it thrives in forgotten corners. Suddenly, a flash of uncertainty crossed Lily's face, her small fingers trembled in mine. Mom, are we really okay? I felt my heart crack open. The fear that had long been suppressed emerged like a tempest demanding a reckoning. Yes, sweetie. We're okay, I said, though doubt echoed loudly in my head. The stranger leaned against the wall nonchalantly, watching us like a predator eyes its prey. I wouldn't be so sure. You have more to lose than you think. Time to face the truth. In that moment, Jake took a step forward, breathing heavily. What do you want from us? I just want to remind you that healing isn't as pretty as it looks. You may find shadows lurking where you least expect them. The challenge hung thick in the air, pulling us into its strange gravity. Every part of me screamed to run, to shield my children, but the urge to stand firm anchored me in place. Just then, the tension was pierced by a buzzing sound. My phone lit from the pile of debris, an unexpected alarm bleeding through the fear-laden atmosphere. I glanced at the screen. One text, a name I had long avoided, we need to talk. Before I could process, I turned back toward the stranger, my voice trembling with urgency. What have you done? Their smile widened, revealing a plethora of unspoken truths that lingered just beneath the surface. I felt the weight of a new storm brewing on the horizon, and there was no denying it. Could we confront all this? The revival of a broken past threatened to crash down upon us once more. As the tension mounted, I glanced at my children, their faces brimming with fear, yet burning with the will to resist. They had come so far already. Would we stand together now, or unravel completely? My heart raced as I prepared to step forward, fueled by a fierce determination. "We will not let you win," I shouted. But just as I said it, a loud bang echoed from the back of the house, sending chills down my spine. What else awaited us, lurking in the shadows? The bang reverberated through the house, rattling the very foundation. A cold dread spread through my veins as I instinctively pulled Lily closer, shielding her with my body. Jake stood frozen, his eyes wide in disbelief, torn between protecting us and confronting the threat lurking in our home. "Maybe that was just a door," I whispered, trying to convince myself as much as him. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The parcel of our lives that had felt somewhat stable until now was decaying, overwhelmed by darkness creeping in from every crack. "What do we do?" Jake's voice trembled like a paintbrush against a canvas, uncertain and anxious. "Stay close," I instructed, trying to sound more confident than I felt. I gestured for him to lead us toward the living room, our refuge away from this stranger. Every step was heavy, as if the air had turned to lead. The stranger laughed, the sound cutting through my resolve like glass. "Running away again?" They leaned casually against the doorway, arms crossed, their demeanor unbothered. "But it always finds you. Don't you want to face it head-on?" I shot them a glare, suppressing the fear that threatened to undo me. "What's your game? Is it money? Fame? Just say it." But they smirked, clearly reveling in the turmoil they had sown. "You should know by now, it's never about the material. It's about the truth you're scared of." "Truth?" Jake echoed, a mix of confusion and defiance on his face. "What truth?" The stranger took a step forward, their voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. "The truth of the cracks in your family, cracks that can't be bridged simply by wishing to be better. You think that ignoring past mistakes will heal them?" "Enough!" I shouted, my heart thundering in my ears. "We're not listening to you." But inside, self-doubt wormed through me, gnawing at my insides. They seemed to strip away our defenses, prying open wounds we had worked so hard to conceal. Just then, another bang sounded from the back, more forceful this time. It felt like a thunderclap, vibrating through the walls. I couldn't ignore it any longer. "Jake, go check it out," I ordered, heart racing. "But just go," I insisted, my voice cracking under the weight of fear. With a reluctant nod, he sprinted toward the hallway, uncertainty etched on his face. I turned back to the stranger, whose expression darkened, as if they sensed the shift. "I guess we'll see just how deep the wounds run," they taunted, stepping closer. "Stay away from us," I shouted, feeling the protective instinct surge inside me. Silence fell, a pregnant pause hanging thick in the air. Then I heard a muffled voice calling out, panic rising within me again. "Jake?" But my own voice felt thin and unused, lost within layers of tension. What had triggered that noise? Did Jake need me? The stranger watched with a mix of amusement and malice, leaning in closer to whisper, "Are you sure you're prepared to confront what's buried? Are you ready to unearth the truth?" Lily trembled beside me, her youthful innocence shaken. She pulled on my sleeve. "Mom, I'm scared." I knelt down, forcing a smile through the fear gripping my heart. "You're so brave. Whatever happens, I won't let anything hurt you." But as I stood back up, I felt the heavy air shift. The front door swung wide open with a deafening creak, and a silhouette appeared, backlit by the dim light outside. "Jake?" I called out, desperation coloring my tone, but the figure stepped into the light, and my breath caught in my throat. My heart raced, splitting open once more as I took in the familiar features of someone I never expected to see again. "I'm back," they said, voice trembling as the shadows flickered behind them. What did this mean for us now? How would this twist of fate play into the chaos already unraveling in our lives? The figure moved closer, step by step, and in that moment, I felt the past rushing back like a flood. The air thickened with memories, and familiar scents that I thought had long evaporated mingled with the fear that tangled around us. "What are you doing here?" I managed to whisper, the words barely escaping my lips. "Mom, who is that?" Jake's question pierced through the agonizing silence, grounding me in the present. I wanted to turn to him, to draw him into the safety of my embrace, but my feet felt rooted to the spot. It's your grandfather," I said, forcing the words out as I tried to reconcile the deep-seated emotion swirling inside me. There was a history between us, a web of love and pain, and now it was back, demanding to be untangled. His face transformed, disbelief battling confusion as he took a step back. "Grandpa? But you said I thought he was my," voice faltered. I had wanted to protect him from the truth, from the grief and disappointment that had marred our family. But the truth was here now, an unwanted visitor bursting through the door. Lily tightened her grip on my arm, sensing the tension enveloping the room. "Mom, is he safe?" Her innocent eyes were wide, searching for reassurance. The stranger's smirk faded as they took in the moment, their presence feeling almost humorous now compared to the emotional storm brewing in front of us. "Isn't it lovely? Family reunions do have a way of dredging up old secrets." I ignored them, focusing on my father, whose old frame was diminished by time but whose gaze still held the force it had during my childhood. I wanted to scream at him for leaving us, for abandoning everything he ever promised. But I also wanted to collapse into his arms and cry. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice wavering slightly, betraying the whirlwind inside me. "I came to see you to fix things," he replied, the tremor in his tone revealing the weight of years. It was the same line he had used so many times before, a promise laced with false hope. Jake crossed his arms, defiance written across his face. "You can't just show up and expect everything to be okay. We don't know anything about you anymore." I felt my heart ache for Jake's innocence, for the trust he had in me that I hadn't been able to uphold. I wanted to tell him that it was okay to be angry, to be scared. "You don't have to talk to him, sweetheart. You can know." "I want to know," Jake shouted, his voice grounded in the pain I had tried to shield him from. "I want to understand why you never told us." The raw question hit me like a punch. I could feel the stranger's laughter hovering behind me, their satisfaction palpable. Bursts of light and darkness danced in the room, trapped in the tension that threatened to snap. My father opened his mouth, but the words never came. Instead, the silence hung between us, thick and suffocating, and then, just as the air grew unbearable, another crash echoed from the shadowy room at the back. This time it felt like a call for help, a plea. My heart raced as I realized that whatever was lurking in that darkness might be more terrifying than the ghosts we faced. "Stay here," I commanded, stepping toward the hallway, the urgency tightening my throat. "Mom, don't," Jake shouted, grabbing my arm, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed to confront whatever fear shadowed our home past and present collapsing into a single moment. I pushed forward, each step echoing in the silence, until I reached the doorway. What awaited inside felt like the culmination of everything we had tried to avoid. And as I peered into the darkened room, the echo of secrets felt like a whisper, wrapping around me as I teetered on the edge of discovery. Could the truth truly set us free, or would it tear us apart? Before I could think, I stepped inside, ready for whatever lay ahead. The air crackled with an intensity that made each heartbeat feel like a drum. I stepped into the darkened room, the shadows loomed larger than life, teasing me to turn back. But I couldn't. This was the battleground of our past, and if we wanted to reclaim our family, there was no turning back. Jake and Lily's voices echoed behind me, their worried whispers settling like a weight on my shoulders. I wanted to reassure them, to wrap them in warmth and safety, but fear gripped me. The unknown loomed ahead, hungry for the truths hidden in the folds of our hearts. "Mom, wait," Jake called, urgency threading through his voice, but I pressed on, fueled by determination. I needed to face this. I had to show him that bravery didn't come without fear. It came because of it. As I reached for the light switch, the darkness flickered. That moment of illumination revealed a mess similar to the kitchen, fragments of my memory scattered like confetti. Boxes filled with old belongings, remnants of what had once been a life overflowing with love, dreams, and laughter. But there, at the center, was someone, a figure huddled in the corner, the familiar outline sending shockwaves through me. Grandpa, I whispered, and all at once, the years melted away. There he was, the man who had been a ghost in our lives, lost in the fog of regret and unfulfilled promises. The shadows draped across his face, but the guilt etched into his features spoke volumes. "Where have you been?" I asked, my voice shaking with emotion as I fought against the storm building inside. "Do you know what you put us through?" He looked up, his eyes reflecting pain and remorse. "I came back to right the wrongs that haunted me," he murmured. "I know I can't erase the past, but I want to work through it." There was a sincerity in his tone that pierced right through the layers of hurt. "No more empty promises." Jake's voice rang out sharply from behind me. I turned to see him poised in the doorway, fists clenched, determination visible in every line of his face. "You don't just get to waltz back into our lives acting like everything's fine." I felt the tension in the room swell like a balloon. "Jake, listen," I said softly, turning toward him, "this is part of the healing process. We need to confront it together." "No," he replied firmly, shaking his head. "This is not about healing. This is about facing a past that has hurt us so much." "Are we really supposed to just forgive?" In that moment, the weight of his anger was palpable, and my heart broke. He was angry not just for himself, but for me. For everything I had held back from him, everything I had sheltered him from. "Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting," I began, feeling my voice deepen with conviction. "It means freeing ourselves from the chains that hold us back, so we can move forward." Grandpa looked between us, tears glistening in his weary eyes. "I know I don't deserve your compassion, but I want to be here for you now. I battled my demons, and I've lost. But if you'll let me, I want to fight alongside you all. This isn't just about my redemption, it's about our family. Together." Silence settled thickly, each of us absorbing the gravity of the moment. The past could be an insurmountable wall or a bridge. I squeezed Lily's hand, and she squeezed back, a simple gesture that told me we were in this together as a unit. "Life doesn't follow a script," I said, gaze flickering between my father and Jake. "It's messy, painful, beautiful. We've been burdened with shadows of yesterday. But if we face these wounds, perhaps they can finally heal." Jake's expression softened, a whirlwind of emotion swirling through his eyes. "But what if we get hurt again?" he asked, vulnerability breaking through his defiance. "That's the risk we have to take," I said. "But this time, we take it as a family." Lily stepped forward, her small stature illuminated by a beam of light streaming in through a crack in the doorway. "I love you both," she declared, innocence glowing brightly in her words. "You can work it out. Just like we do with our puzzles piece by piece." Her innocent wisdom tugged at me, and I made my way back toward her. "Exactly," I whispered, a glimmer of hope igniting in my chest. "We are each a puzzle piece, and together, we can still create something beautiful." With a tentative nod, Jake stepped forward, echoing the movement I had made only moments ago. "So can we start over?" he asked, his voice small but firm. "I want to start over," Grandpa replied, breaking down the emotional barriers between us with a heartfelt sincerity. "Okay," Jake said, uncertainty ringing through the word like a bell, but I saw the flickering light of hope ignite in his eyes. "But only if we can be honest, like really honest." A wave of relief washed over me, like the first sip of water after a long drought. "Honestly will be our foundation," I agreed. In that moment, I felt the dark weight lifting. It wouldn't be easy, but we had begun chiseling away at the heaviness clinging to our hearts. We stood there, the shadows melting into the background as our laughter began to stitch together the seams of our family. And just as I thought we could finally breathe, the stranger's voice broke through the remnants of the storm. "Family takes a lot more than just words. Are you really ready for that?" I turned to face them, heart ablaze, and said, "We are." "Try us." As the tension faded, each of us took a breath together, the unity rising like a phoenix reborn. No longer were we shackled by the burdens of the past, we stood poised to embrace a new future. The road ahead would be rocky, but together, we could weather any storm. Time flowed like a river, and I finally felt the current guiding us toward a brighter horizon. As our laughter echoed in the dark corners, I realized that love was indeed the greatest force of all, a force ready to transform us, to bind us as a family. And so we forged ahead, united and unbreakable. Now it's your turn to be part of this transformative journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like immediately to fuel the algorithm and help us grow. Comment your feelings and reactions about this powerful ending below. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness the magic of transformation. Don't wait not even one more second.